Thank you for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth Davis. I will be your host. I'm joined by Caitlin Gill, who's our Director of Solutions Enablement and Global Software. She'll be walking you through the demonstration today. We'll be talking about instant SAP B1 financial and operational reports in Excel today. And again, Caitlin Gill is joining us as our Director of Solutions Enablement out of the West Coast in the Portland, Oregon area. I am based in Dallas-Fort Worth, Elizabeth Davis again, Senior Excel Automation Advisor. Our headquarters is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then we have people like myself all over the country. We also have an office in New York. We have an office in London, UK, Perth, Australia, and 24/7, 365 support for our international clients, which we have over 5,000 supported customers in 120 different countries. We're the #1 provider of Microsoft Excel-based automation solutions with a host of offerings for our customers. So what we like to say here at Global Software is start in Excel, stay in Excel. We love Excel. We love to support our customers and their use of Excel with automation. So that starts with Spreadsheet Server, which is the main solution we'll be looking at today. It eliminates the need to copy and paste data, allows you to start with live and dynamic reports right from Excel, build them once, and you're done. Gives you full drill down capability, the ability to create ad hoc reports for financial and non-financial information through our query designer, and then also to automate the dissemination of those reports throughout your organization and externally as well with our distribution manager solution. And some of the things that our customers say about us is that they're able to, fully leverage their employees. That instead of spending all of their time aggregating data, they're able to spend more time analyzing data so they get better value from their customers. United Laboratories said they increased their employee workload capacity 100%. So that's doing more value add type roles for your organization, analyzing why do we miss this number, that sort of stuff. Spreadsheet Server leverages your data and your Excel knowledge, really streamlining the reporting and analysis process for your employees and for your business. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin to walk you through a demonstration today. We will ask that you put any questions you have in the chat box, and we'll be sure to answer those at the end. All right, Caitlin, take it away.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that great introduction, and thank you folks for joining today. We're very excited to show you Spreadsheet Server. It's something that we wake up every day pretty pumped up about because it's such a great tool. I mean, the ability to work with real-time data in Excel is incredible, and we love to share that with people. So we're excited to walk you guys through a demonstration today. It's such an exciting product. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it and share my desktop with you, and your screen should transition to an Excel spreadsheet. Starting from the basics, what is Spreadsheet Server? Well, Elizabeth did a great job in explaining that already, but just to give you a visual of her explanation, our product is an Excel add-in. Simple as that. It's installed where Excel is installed. There's no magic there. There's no server involved. There's no data warehouse that needs to be set up. It's installed where Excel is installed. It only takes about an hour to install it, and we're connecting directly to your Business One system. So what makes these spreadsheets different than a typical Excel spreadsheet is the fact that they're pulling live data from Business One. So when you build a report, you are building it in Excel. You're in that comfortable, familiar, cozy space that you like to work in, which is Excel. But the amazing thing about these spreadsheets is that once I build it one time, I can open it up, change a period, and it's updating with live data. So gone are the days that I have to manually key information into a spreadsheet, and especially not even initially keying it in, but then rekeying it in, and then rekeying it in again. Those days are gone. You build your spreadsheet one time, and you open it up, and it updates with live data. So whether I'm changing a period, changing a department, everything's going to update dynamically. And not only that, I can also ask questions about the numbers in this spreadsheet without going back to SAP. So through the Spreadsheet Server drill down capability, which I'm just going to click on that little magnifying glass there, I can drill down on that balance, take a look at payroll expenses, see what account that came from, and it doesn't stop there with the drill down. I can take it down to the next level, and this is going to show me journal entry detail. So without leaving my spreadsheet, I can immediately drill down and see those posted entries, figure out exactly where that number came from, if there was anything that was entered incorrectly, and get the answer to my question. So without leaving the spreadsheet, I can drill back to SAP and see all of that detail. And in this drill down window, I have some ad hoc capabilities as well. So if I wanted to sort just by the posting date in ascending or descending order, I can do that. Maybe I knew I was looking for a particular document number 430. I can narrow down my results by the document number. I can also, let's say someone else asked me a question and they needed me to support my answer about that payroll expense number. Well, I can say, no problem. Let's say Elizabeth sent me a message saying, I really need some detail behind that number. I can say, easy. I'm just going to drill down to a worksheet. So what this is going to do is it's actually going to push those results into another tab of my report. So I can say, okay, I just want to push this information out to Excel. It's going to create a new tab in my spreadsheet with a table and that journal detail, a timestamp, and a link back to the originating cell. I can very easily send this off to Elizabeth and say, here's the answer to your question. This is where that journal entry came from. These are all of the individual entries that make up that number, and there's your answer. And I never have to leave my spreadsheet. So pretty cool stuff there. So I can build really any type of report with Spreadsheet Server as well. So this is a pretty basic income statement that we're looking at. You also notice I have a detailed income statement. So this is looking at a more detailed approach to my income statement month by month. So one of the neat things, because I am looking at a lot of different pieces of information in here, what I've done is I've created not only this detail sheet, but then I've also created several detail sheets analyzing the journal entries. So that same export to Excel feature can push detail out by month, so I can look at journals for January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Okay, and it certainly doesn't stop there at the general ledger either. As I scroll down through the report, you'll notice this last tab is looking at AP detail. So if I wanted to look at accounts payable information by vendor, my top 10 open invoices, I could do that. If I wanted to maybe look at a revenue dashboard where I'm looking at revenue by manager. If I wanted to pull in information from other systems, let's say you use SAP Business One, as well as access to store some data, you have another SQL database that's storing some data. In this report, I'm actually pulling from systems outside of Business One. So my customers that are past due in this AR aging quadrant, this is coming from an Access database. I can drill down and take a look at that detail. I can also come over here to my salary information, which is coming from PeopleSoft. I can drill down and take a look at that salary information as well. So you can use Spreadsheet Server to connect to databases outside of Business One, allowing Spreadsheet Server to be your one-stop shop for any financial reporting, all in Excel, all real-time, all drillable. So this little add-in packs a pretty powerful punch at the end of the day, because it's going to allow you to really build some very neat reports, board quality reports, while staying in Microsoft Excel. Okay, so typically the question that comes up here is, well, that's great. You know, I like to look at reporting tools and I see all these flashy reports and that's all well and good at the end of the day, but can I actually build one of these things myself, because that's what's really important to me. I don't want to have a tool that's relying on IT. And so when we designed Spreadsheet Server, just to give you a little bit of history, we designed it to help our clients that were using our general ledger. So Global Software actually still sells and supports a GL system. And we designed it with accountants in mind. Our company is built by accountants, so we didn't want the product to be technical. We wanted it to be something that any accountant can use to build a report without a detailed knowledge of the source database. So when we deliver Spreadsheet Server to clients, it has a really nice build a template wizard that is pre-configured for SAP for Business One that's going to allow you to build a report very easily, either from a blank spreadsheet or from an existing spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is just insert a new tab into the report, and I'm going to open up that build a template wizard so you guys can take a look at how we get started. Okay, so I'd like to call this the worst case scenario. I open up Excel. I don't have any reports that are built in Excel. I need a report right away, and I've got to build it myself. The nice thing about this worst case scenario is that I have Spreadsheet Server. So I can use Spreadsheet Server in the Build a Template Wizard to very easily build that ad hoc report on the fly. Now, the other reason I call this the worst case scenario is because when we come on site to train you, typically our clients have some reports built in Excel. So typically they've got reports that they've already created, that they probably spent some time creating, and when we come on site to train you, we can automate those reports. So we can take your existing spreadsheets and do this exact same exercise that I'm about to show you using an existing report. So we can populate our formulas into your existing spreadsheets to make them live and dynamic, bringing your reports to life, the reports that you've taken the time to build, that you're comfortable with, that you're familiar with, that your end users have probably seen before. So when you're thinking about using Spreadsheet Server, know that you don't have to rebuild all your reports from scratch, don't have to recreate the wheel. We just want to make the car faster. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to automate those reports by putting some formulas into them. Okay, so Spreadsheet Server is driven by formulas. You can see those formulas on the left side of the screen. The first one I'm going to start with is the GL formula. That's going to return a single balance from the general ledger. As I mentioned, we're pre-configured for the Business One General Ledger, so you don't need to be familiar with files or fields or tables in Business One. All you have to do here is just select some very simple accounting parameters. So things like your balance type, do you want to look at actual or budget, A or B? What year we'd like to look at in the spreadsheet, we're going to say 2006. The format in which we like to see the data, this is a really nice feature because this allows me to select whether I'd like to look at my data by month, by quarter, year to date, life to date, or maybe a range. And we're going to say I want to look by period, and I want to start with period, we'll say period 8. And then I've got 2 account segments in my account string. If yours is different, that's totally fine. Spreadsheet Server will read your account string, and of course we can add additional segments based on the number that you have. I just have 2, my account and division. I don't have to memorize these, thank goodness, because these account numbers are long in SAP Business One, and the descriptions are not short either. So it's going to give me a listing of all those descriptions, all those values. And so I can scroll down here and find what I'm looking for, or I might know that what I'm looking for is sales revenues. So I might just want to type in sales revenues or sales, and it's going to go ahead and narrow down those results for me. So again, this couldn't get any easier. I'm just going to select sales revenues. I'm going to leave the division as an asterisk, which is a wildcard. So we're going to pull in information for all divisions. And folks, that is all I have to do. Just identify some very simple accounting parameters. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit insert, and now the magic is happening. Spreadsheet Server is going to set up that formula in Excel. So it's doing all of my syntaxing and cell referencing. It's going to return a balance into the spreadsheet that I can drill down on to take a look at the detail behind that number, validating that it is, in fact, sales revenue coming directly from SAP. And now, all I have to do to build the report is what I already know how to do, which is use Microsoft Excel. We'll zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see a little better. And so a lot of folks ask, wow, you know, my end users aren't very good in Excel. What I always like to say to that is, can you copy and paste? If you can copy and paste, that is all I'm about to do to build this report. And if you can't copy and paste, that's cool. I can teach you how to do that. We'll teach you how to do that in training. So I'm just going to take and copy row 12 down a couple rows. So we'll copy it down a couple rows, and we'll skip a couple rows, copy it down a couple more rows. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull in my next line item. So we're going to say we want to pull in cost of goods sold. If I am familiar with that account number, I can just go ahead and type it in here. You can see that when I copy that row down, there's a formula on each row. So now when I change the account number, so we're just going to change the account number to 511, it's going to change that number. I can drill down cost of goods sold, doing good. I'm just going to calculate my gross profit here, so we'll summarize that. All right. So from here, I'm going to come down and I'm going to add some expenses to this report. So we'll say my first line item is personnel expense. Oh gosh, I can't remember what that account number is. Well, that's not a problem. I can just go to this locate segment feature, and that's going to pull in all of my accounts. So I can search by the description, or I can search by the segment value. So we're just going to, I think it's in the 61s. So I'm going to type in 61 here. And let's see, what am I looking for? Here we go, salaries, that's what I wanted. Let me go ahead and push that into the spreadsheet. Easy as that. We'll delete that other account number. We don't need that anymore. And then the next line item, we'll say I know a couple of these, but the next line item is my utilities, but this is a range of accounts. And I'm familiar with what the range is, so I'm just going to go ahead and type it in there. So we'll say 632100000 to 6, whoops, let's see. So you can use ranges. Another option you have is to use wildcards. So we'll say I want to pull in my tax expenses next. We're going to use a wildcard. Everything that begins with 66 makes up tax expenses. We've got some other expenses that we want to pull in. And I'm just going to go ahead and type these in. But you can always refer back to that locate segment feature, and then we're just going to summarize our expenses. Okay, so now we'll do a little formatting. And then I'm just going to continue to build out this report. So now I'm going to copy that column across. And now I'm going to change my period. So we'll say I also want to look at period 9 and 10. Just going to change the period number there. I want to see roll up for the third quarter. All I have to do to see that is type in period 3, but then change the format to quarter. So I'm going to change this to quarter. There we go. And I also want to look at year-to-date numbers. So we're just going to look at year-to-date. For the current period. Okay, we're off to the races, guys. And then if I wanted to see things like descriptions, I can also add those in as well. So I can use Spreadsheet Server to use my expand row feature. What that's going to do is it's actually going to pull in those descriptions. So I can take a look at revenue. If I wanted to expand all rows, it'll pull in each description for me. And then I can use Excel to actually make the report prettier. So if I wanted to, let's say, add a chart or a graph, when I analyze our tax expense across 3 periods, I could just insert a chart. So again, I'm just using Excel at this point to build out this report. So getting from here, a pretty basic, not so pretty report, to something that looks a little nicer, like my income statement, is just adding in some formatting, maybe some descriptions. And once you have your final product, that's all you have to do is open it when you need to see those real-time numbers. So I can just open this up, change the period, and I'm working with real-time data in Excel. So building reports is very intuitive with Spreadsheet Server, and that is something that we pride ourselves on here at Global Software because we created this tool for the end user. While our support is always available to you 24/7, 365 days a year, you can always call us if you have a question. What we typically find is after we come on site to train you, our users are very comfortable, very familiar, and they can build any report that they want without our assistance. Okay, so now we've taken a look at some features and functionality. We've taken a look at how to build a report. And so what I'd like to show you next is how you would distribute these reports. So I've got all these beautiful reports in my workbook, my income statements. I've built some other reports that are looking at accounts payable information. I've built a dashboard. I have a report that's looking at customer statistics. And so now I need to send these reports out to different people. I have some salespeople that need this revenue dashboard, and they need this customer statistics report looking at their customers. I've got a couple folks in finance that need the income statement. And now I want to take this one workbook and I want to send it to all of these different people. And Spreadsheet Server has created a way for you to automate that as well. So literally thought of everything over here. We want to make distribution easy too. So if I went to my distribution manager, I could go to create new control sheet. And what that does is it adds a new tab in the workbook. And look at that, I'm one step ahead of you guys. I already started to create one. So I'm just trying to save us a little time over here, and it looks like I've already started one, so let's just go find that. I've got all these reports in here, so it's probably hidden over here. There it is. And so in this distribution list, this is where I'm going to define how I'd like to send the report out. And I can send reports in a lot of different ways. So we can probably mimic whatever distribution process you have going on today. We'll just streamline it a bit. And so if you click on the destination type, the first option you have is email. You can send reports out via email. You can save them to a shared file location, send them to SharePoint, send them to printers. If you want to use the good old-fashioned sneaker mail, like I like to say, run those around from desk to desk, get your points in on your fitness app. You can certainly use that sneaker mail option, but if you want to automate the distribution process, there's other ways to get exercise, so you can certainly use email or file save. And you can use a combination of these options. So we'll start with email. In this case, I'm using Outlook, so this is going to link up with my Outlook address book. It'll pull in all of your contacts for you, so you can very easily just select the folks you'd like to send to. So we'll say I want to send to my channel partner team. I want to select a group there. And then I'm going to compose my email. So I'll just say, hey guys, here's the report. With an exclamation mark so they know I'm really excited about it. And then I'm going to go to my miscellaneous tab, and I have some password protection options. So I can give the workbook a password to be opened or modified. So if I'm a little worried about those channel partner guys and they tend to get a little crazy in the workbooks, I'm just going to lock it down for modification. So you can look, but you can't touch. I have some additional attachment options, which basically just means I can add anything that I'd like to add with this report. So if I not only want to send them the report analyzing their customers, but I also want to send them another document, a Word document, explaining that report, or let's say I wanted to add a couple pictures from the holiday party, I can add anything I'd like, just like to a normal email. And then if I go back to the General tab, this is where I can select what type of file I'd like to send. So I can send the file as an Excel file, of course, but I have an option of sending it in a live and dynamic format. So if I was sending to another Spreadsheet server user and they wanted to drill down, I can make that report live. The other option is converting the report to a PDF, Word document, HTML, CSV. Of course, if I do convert it, it would be static, so it's no longer going to have drill down capability. And if I send it as an Excel file, like I said, I can make it static as well. So if they're not users, not a problem. We can still send them a report. They just can't drill down. It's not live. If they are users, we'll send it in Excel format. They can drill down and see everything just like I can. But let's assume the latter. Let's assume they are not Spreadsheet server users and they need that customer statistics report for their customers only. And right now, if I go over to that report, I think it was way over here on the right side, so let's just go find it. Here it is. And I'm looking at it, wow, I've got a lot of customers on that list. All customers that begin with 2, which is about 400 customers. But I actually don't want to send them all those customers because their customers are a more segmented group. I just want them to see the report for their customers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to modify the report just for my channel guys. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want to modify this customer statistics report. I'm going to modify cell E6, which holds the value for the customer. And then I'm going to send them this report for a very specific group of customers. So we're going to say that group of customers is all customers that begin with 199. So I'm going to add that modification, and what this is going to do at the time of distribution is push this value into cell E6, converting the report to look at only the customers that begin with 199, which is their group. Of course, I can add multiple modification options here as well. Okay, so they need to receive that customer report. The other thing that they need to see is that sales revenue report. But I don't need to send them this huge list of reports because they don't need to see all of this information. I just want to send them the customer statistics report. So I'm going to add that one worksheet and the sales revenue dashboard so they can see where they're at and get to work, as I like to say. So let's go back to our distribution list. We've created that distribution line for those guys, and then we're going to push that line out to Excel. Well, I've got some other folks that need to receive reports as well. So what I'm going to do is go back to my email tab, and I'm going to select another group of users. We'll say I want to send this to Bjorn, and we'll say, Bjorn, needs the same report, but he needs it for a different group of customers. So we're just going to change this to all customers that begin with 3. Those are his customers. And then I'm going to push that line out to Excel. And I'm going to add another recipient, but instead of sending out via email, I want to save it to a shared file location. So I've got another group that I send reports to, but they don't check their email very often. So I'm just going to push this out to this shared file location. We'll just say Sherry. And we'll say for Sherry, she needs different reports. She's not in sales. She doesn't need any of these customer reports. Sherry works in finance. I want to send her the AP report, and I want to send her the income statement. I want to send them exactly the way they are. We'll say, assume Sherry's a user. So I'm going to send her the income statement, and I'm going to send her the AP report. Okay, and I could keep on going down the line here and as many recipients as I'd like. So a little story that I like to tell is of a customer you guys are probably all familiar with. Their name's Trader Joe's. You probably have indulged in something from their store before. I personally like their chocolate-covered caramels. They're my favorite. But Trader Joe's uses our product, and they have about 400 stores nationwide that they send reports to. So prior to using Spreadsheet Server, they had a report that went out to all those stores called a Retail Stock Ledger Report, analyzing, if you could only imagine, the stock of their retail, like their chocolate-covered caramels. And this process to send this report out to all of those stores took about 2 weeks at the end of every month, because if you could imagine, creating a report for each store and having to distribute it is quite a process. Well, once they started using Spreadsheet Server, they were able to create a template for that report, set up a distribution list that would then modify that report by store. So from that single template, it then kicked off that report by store, sending each store their individual retail stock ledger report, saving them almost 2 weeks of time by this report going out in a couple of hours. So if you are sending reports out widely, this can be a very, very helpful tool. But even if you're sending reports out to a small group of folks, it's a really powerful tool as well. But if you can imagine you're sending out that many reports, it might be helpful to schedule them. So surprise, surprise, Distribution Manager does have a scheduling option. Like I said, we've kind of thought of everything with this tool. And the Profile Scheduler is going to allow you to set those reports up on an automated schedule. So if I wanted to schedule my reports to go out, I could say, okay, well, let's schedule them. When do I want the reports to go out? I'm going to say I want them to start going out tomorrow. And I want to make sure they're going out really early, so that way I have time to stop at my favorite coffee shop here out in the Pacific Northwest. It's called Dutch Brothers. And I wanted to get a cup of coffee on my way to work, which takes an extra 15 minutes. But I want everyone to think that I'm at work early. So I'm just going to go ahead and schedule them to go out at 7 a.m. And I want them to go out weekly on Thursday. And so when I set up this automated schedule, what's going to happen is every Thursday at 7 a.m., a report will be kicked off coming from me to everyone on that list. And so by running this schedule, reports are going to be kicked off at that time. You'll receive a report saying that it came from me at 7 a.m. And I'm still probably in the line at Dutch Brothers waiting for my almond milk latte, which is so delicious if you haven't ever had one. So the scheduling option is a really nice feature of Distribution Manager. If you want to do that, you don't have to use the scheduler. You can always just kick it off manually by hitting Distribute, All are selected. So you have some capabilities to do that as well. Okay, so we've gone through building a report. We've gone through some features and functionality. We've gone through distributing a report. And the only other thing we can touch on is, all of the options for reporting. We've shown you a couple different types of reports, but know with Spreadsheet Server, you can use this tool to connect to not only SAP, but also databases outside of SAP, and pull data from multiple systems into a single spreadsheet. Our product is pre-configured for the SAP General Ledger, but we do have different license types, and one of those license types does allow you to connect to tables outside of the General Ledger as well as other databases. But some configuration does need to be done when you are pulling data from other tables. So we can certainly talk about that if you guys have interest and have any questions, but I'd like to just pause for a second and see at this point in time if there are any questions that have come in.
So it looks like we have a question here, Caitlin, and that is, what does it look like to do an implementation? So what's the install time like? Do you want me to take that, or do you want to take it?
I can take it because I love talking about training. We're such a fun part of our process. So the install itself only takes about an hour. So it's about an hour, hour and a half. We send you the product and then set up a WebEx call to install it. So that's pretty easy, just setting up a connection to the database and then installing an add-in. I'm sure you guys have installed add-ins before. It's a pretty simple process. We do come on site to train you. So depending on the different license types, which I think Elizabeth is going to go over, we have different trainings that we offer. But everything that you've seen me do today, that would be part of our gold license. So that's building reports, learning distribution, and that is a 2-day training. So we'll be on site at your location and working with you. The first pretty much half of the day of training is a classroom type training, and the rest of the training is a workshop. So we're actually building reports with you there on site. So we do as much hand-holding as you need, and most of our clients leave with some reports that are up and running, as well as the knowledge of how to build those reports on their own.
All right, and I do think it's important to mention as well that we do have WebEx and online training options available for our customers that's more convenient for. Okay, we have a question here. How many customers do we have? And that was, we covered that, I think, in the opening slide. We have over 5,000 customers worldwide. All right here, is there a limit on the number of reports that can be built with Spreadsheet Server? Caitlin, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, the only limit that you have is the sky. So you can build as many reports as you'd like with Spreadsheet Server. You're building those reports in Excel, but there's absolutely no limit.
All right, fantastic. Okay, I'd be interested in connecting to other SAP B1 tables, pulling data on ORDR, RD51. Okay, so with Spreadsheet Server, you have the ability to connect to any relational data that you want to, anywhere in SAP B1, or if you have other systems as well. Maybe you have an old legacy Sage system that's on a SQL Server, or you have an Access database, or we connect to Salesforce in-house using Spreadsheet Server. It's pretty open and unlimited. And Caitlin, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure, yeah. So with that Platinum license, it really allows you to connect to any table that you'd like, but that is typically limited to 1 or 2 users in the organization. So they would be the one doing the query design, and then they would share those queries with the other users to build reports in Excel, just like what you saw me do here. So for a gold user, whether it's a GL query or an AP query or a fixed asset, whatever you want to report on, you're just using a formula in Excel that's driven by parameters. But then we have an additional training for those Platinum users to teach them how to build some of those custom queries.
Right, and absolutely, if you guys have more technical questions, we're happy to set up technical demos with you and get you in touch with our technical folks to walk through that and what that would look like for you. Well, it does look like that wraps up our demonstration and our questions section. If you guys are interested in learning additional information about Spreadsheet Server, like I said, we'd be happy to set up a personalized conversation or WebEx session for you where we walk you through a more tailored demo for your environment. We can get into more of the weeds about how it's installed and what an implementation would look like at your organization. You can go to globalsoftwareinc.com to request a demo, or you can email me directly at elizabethdavis@globalsoftwareinc.com. Again, thank you so much for your time and attendance today. We appreciate you taking a look at Spreadsheet Server, and we hope to serve you in the future. Caitlin, thanks again for your presentation.
Absolutely. Have a great day, guys.